everyone, this is Eileen from Eileen Stuffs, and today we are going to get caught up and see what has been going on. There's quite a few things to talk about, so I thought we'd just do a chit chat video. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. I am a cash budgeter and stuffer here on YouTube, and I am working on paying off debt as well as building up an emergency and sinking funds. So if that is something that you're interested in and you haven't already, please consider subscribing below. All right, so we have, I feel like just a ton of housekeeping. I have not done a monthly review for months, and if you've watched my other videos, you kind of know the story, but back in May, I left my job for a new job. So for a big part of the summer, I was working 2 jobs, and then I was switching to my new job, which was like a huge event. It took up 6 days a week. And then at the same time, my ex-husband moved out of the house at the end of August. So after a very transformative summer, I now find myself in a position in September where I am in a new job. I'm making more money than I ever have, and I am now living alone. So a lot of big life changes. They're going to be reflected, I think, in my debt portion of this video, which I'm really scared to talk about. So I just hope you guys can keep in mind the intensity of the life changes that I have been through as I go through all this stuff today. That was my disclaimer. I was kind of embarrassed, but I felt like it just needed to be said. I just wanted to get on, everything is just like a fresh start in my life, so I want to get on a fresh start with my finances, and part of that is just being honest. So we're going to pretty much do things completely different than we have been. Up to this point, I have been doing snowball payments on credit card, and then I've also been trying to save in sinking funds, but I think at this point it has to stop, especially since my income is more now than it was at my old job. I have this new opportunity to really make a dent in my debt, and so that is my focus. And I do think that I might have enough in savings at this point that I'll be okay with a little emergency fund that I built to just help cover like a bad month. Switch literally the way I'm budgeting, the way I'm thinking of money, just all of it. All right. To get started, we are going to look at what I managed to save, and I do have some of my savings written down. I think I'll just keep it in my budget book. So I'm going to move to, we're in September, but I think there might be a blank. Here we go. I knew we had pages. All right. I will zoom you in. So first we're going to look at what have I managed to save, and is that enough to cover me for an emergency so I can really just focus on debt. So this is my savings so far. My bank savings account, which is just, part of my checking account, it's attached to it. That currently has $901.29. My high yield account, which is my emergency fund, that currently has $558.32. Plus, I did just transfer that $150 from my Mosaic challenge. I don't know. I have an Ally account. It takes days to transfer. So the $150 is in transit, and today is Tuesday. So actually Wednesday, tomorrow, the 27th, is when it's supposed to clear. So when you watch this video, it should be in there. So that $150 though is in transit and should be in tomorrow, and that'll add. And then I have been saving money in my sinking funds. And so let's see what those are. I mean, the one that stands out the most is the bills, because this was literally to pay for emergency bills. This one has 100, 200, 20, 40, 65. So we have 265 saved in cash. All right, I think that's it. That's the only one I want to include. So let's see. So what I can see right now, it's definitely over the 1,000 emergency fund that Ramsey always recommends when you're getting started. So that's nice. I was really hoping to get to the point where I had like 1 month's rent, but might be close to that. We have $901.29 plus $558.32, $150, and $265. This is fantastic. I'm almost close to 2,000, which makes me want to just round it up. So my total savings right now that I manage, and a lot of this really was in the past, since I started my new job, I have $1,874.61 saved. That is basically my emergency fund. And yeah, I think what I'd like to do is I'll just round that up to a nice 2,000 and call it a day. which I can just do with my next paycheck. So let's see, how much do I need to save to round it up on my next? So 1874.61. So I only need 125.39 more, and we will be at a cool 2,000 for emergency, which is perfect because that literally covers 1 month's rent, utilities, right? So those basic things. So that's exactly what I wanted. I think it's safe to say that we are golden here. Let me put, today's the 26th, I believe. We're golden with savings. So now it's time to take a super harsh look. I almost was in tears when I saw this. I understand why, but it just shows me, okay, I'm not even going to get into the details of it, you guys, because it made me just really upset. But and as you can see, I got upset. I like scribbled it out. I was like, oh no, I can't even look at this. But then I was like, no, just, you know what? Okay. So my debt right now, I'm not going to go into details, but the total is $21,899.98 for credit cards, which unfortunately some went down, but some went up. And I'm sorry this is so messy. I actually wasn't going to film this, and then I decided at the last minute, like I said, just to do it, even though it's like really bad news. It have $20,924. My credit debt has actually went up. By $975. All right. So obviously what I'm doing to pay off debt is not working. And as we see here, I have money saved. So I think it's time to say goodbye to the sinking funds for a while. The ones I'm going to focus on again is I'll put the $125.39 in bills to make it 2,000 even. And then I'm probably thinking about transferring this money over. And then the only other one I think I'll focus on at this point is my, well, car is always nice. So probably just the big three, Kylie, car, and mom. And I'm talking like a fraction of what I would save, because it's time, obviously, to get serious about this credit card debt, because I think the thing about credit card debt, especially like me, when you have such high amounts. So my one credit card, here's a good example. This credit card is $265.53 a month because the balance is like $8,000 and something. Let me tell you, about $195 of that goes to interest every month. So it barely touches the balance. So this is kind of the situation that I've been in. So even though I've been steadily paying my credit cards every month, and it barely goes to my principal. So like I said, some of them did go down, and since I did this, which would have been in the beginning of the year, you know, some of them went down a couple $100s, and this is why, because you're paying this much, but a fraction of it's actually going to the principal. That's a big problem. The other problem is the reason why it went up is I did use a few of my credit cards. One was my computer died. I really need a computer for work. And out of desperation, I used one of my credit cards and bought a new computer for work. It is a write-off for work, for taxes, but I didn't have the cash on me, and I cannot work without a computer. I just can't. So I had to put it on my credit card. So that was like, I mean, yeah, I even bought like a cheap computer. It was on sale. It was only, but you know, cheap computers are still like $400 to $500 these days. And I need to have a certain amount of gigabytes. I have to have at least 8 gigabytes on my computer because all the windows I have to have open. So that was like, basically, like I said, I did $975, and half of that was probably the computer. Also, like I had said in the beginning of the video, my ex-husband moved out. So much of the stuff was his. So I basically had no dishes. I had no silverware. I didn't have like some house things that I needed, right? And then plus other things. Just, I think over this past year, I have here and there used my credit cards, not thinking, like, so, you know, it's just a mix of all that. That's what I've done. And it has basically, I've gotten nowhere with my debt payoff. Just the honest truth. I feel like basically crap saying that out loud. But like I said, things have changed for me. My situation has changed for the better. And that means this is going to change for the better. I think case in point, the fact that I was able to save so much in just the past few months is a good indicator of how things have changed. You know, I'm not a financial expert by any means. I'm literally just a person in this world that's been through some really challenging situations and is trying to move forward. So that's really what you're seeing. You're definitely are seeing the ups and downs, highs and lows. I'm still making financial mistakes, obviously. And I think it might be fun to do like a financial audit on myself to kind of see, right? Because I really want to redo everything. All right, so all this is to say, I need to fix this problem. It is happening now. Things are going to change. Number one is we're only putting in $125 more and we are done with savings. We got a nice $2,000 chunk to sit and help me in case of need. So yay to that. We are aware that we've basically went nowhere with our debt. We're pretty much sitting in the same position. So that is where we're going to look next. So I have went back and forth so much with paying my lowest. So this card started at $670 and I'm like, oh, should I just pay this off? Or should I just move towards the credit card 8, which is still about this as well. So some of these just didn't change. I don't even know. I've been going back and forth between should I keep going with the snowball of paying the smallest amount first, knocking it out, and then moving on to the next one, knocking it out, and so on and so forth. Or should I just say, you know, this credit card, the one that has the $265 payment is so high. I just wonder if I should focus my efforts onto getting this down. I just really still struggle with that. I was hoping I'd have an answer by the time I film this video, and I don't. I don't really know what I want to do. I do think that this credit card one is so low that I might be able just to pay it in like one paycheck, especially if I no longer put any extra cash towards sinking funds, minus obviously my mom was pretty much the biggest one, I think, at this point. If anyone else gets any money at this point, it's going to be my mom. Oh, which I do have good news about that. So people have asked about my mom. So she started at $3,000 and she's now down to $1,651, but she actually has money in here. Where is it? So how much have I? So I was at 1,651. I have 150, 70, 90, 210. As of today, I'm just going to put these in parentheses. I'm sorry, I put 8. I have 210 currently sitting in her folder. So I owe her now $1,441. She's less than halfway at this point, and you know, my mom is my mom. She loves me. She helped me. She pretty much, I think, when she gives money to us, she just wants to, I think for her, she wants to see that we're trying. She doesn't give us deadlines or anything. I mean, for her, it was to take care of her daughter. She would probably let me spend the next 10 years paying this off. Obviously, I'm not going to, but I know my mom enough to know that just the fact that she knows I'm putting aside money every month, she's happy with, which, you know, I wish. That's not to say that I'm not going to pay her. It's just to say that there's not as much pressure to pay this off as there is, say, the credit cards, if that makes sense, or the monthly bills. But yeah, so she's going to stay priority for sure. All right. So moving forward, what we're going to do is when we budget, we're going to budget our stuff, and then the money that we would have, here's a good example. September 1st, I had $500 in cash. And then when I took out money for food and wallet, I had $270 that I put into sinking funds. So instead of doing that, what I would do is maybe throw $100 to my mom, and then the $170 is going to just go to an extra credit card payment. Basically, that's the money that was being funneled into sinking funds is going to be redirected to credit card debt. Probably going to have a new line where I'll just do like my wallet, my mom, and then debt. I'll like rewrite this to look a little different. So that's going to be the biggest change. But oh man, I just want to throw money at this debt. I never want to see a number over 20,000 again. I never want to come back like 8 months later and see that I basically made no dent, knowing that I actually did use my card a few times, like on top of that, right? I never want to see these things for myself again. So this is where we are moving forward. And this is like the best news is knowing that I do have the savings now. So emergency fund, we're done with it. I do think in my savings challenge book, I had a couple other I think I had one other challenge that was focused on emergency fund. I'm just going to change them all to debt payoff. And next month, I should be able to finish off another challenge, which is going to debt payoff. So everything for me is debt payoff, debt payoff. Okay, that was the nitty gritty harsh stuff. My budget will start looking a little different. Like I said, the lines are gonna look different and it's going to be completely funneled to debt. And it could be worse, but I have some good things to discuss, which is great. So on top of that, now that things have settled down for me, like this summer was so crazy. It was just, I basically transformed my life this summer, and I'm still kind of at that point where I kind of sit at my house like, okay, everything in my life has changed. Now I'm here in this house alone. I have a new job. Like my life still feels that like brand newness feeling when you just like start over fresh and everything is new and different. I'm still in that mode. It's settling down a little. Refocusing back on my YouTube channel is a major priority for me. And so this is where some good announcements come in. I am about to start creating some new things for my shop. I think my shop is something else that got pushed to the side. This weekend in particular, I am going to be making some fun things to add to my shop. I did make some money placeholders, and I'm using what I have to create some things. So something that people have asked for a long time was challenges in different sizes, as well as something really big in the works that isn't even here yet. It's like halfway done, I think, and it's something that I'm hoping to launch for 2024. So those are all good things. This is how I'm going to keep myself at home, not spending money, working on making things for my channel and pouring into myself and my work. And this is where we're at right now, you guys, okay? So much more than I've said, but honestly, a lot of it's very personal, and I've come a long way. There's been a lot of healing and process. I'm learning about money. I've learned a lot about money, and I really like having control of my money. I'm still trying to figure that out. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I might do a financial audit on myself, which is going to be so embarrassing. But I think it would be kind of fun to sit down and see, because I've had people ask, like, where does your miscellaneous line go when it's in the bank? And it's always like just here and there for purchases. But like, really, what am I doing with that money? Because that's right. So that ends up being like 100 to 200 extra a month. How am I accounting for it? So I think this is part of my process of learning how to control my money. And this is still an area that I am struggling in. So we're going to focus on it in a video, look at what's happening, and then figure out how to maybe put that stuff into my budget better so that I have the money for it. So I think the biggest thing for me sticks out is getting coffee. I have long work days. I'm like, sometimes I'm just desperate and I go get coffee, but you know, coffee's expensive and that adds up. So stuff like that. I think like looking at what I've actually been doing over a few payment cycles with my checking account will help give me a better idea of how to restructure my budget, which will show during budget videos. All right, you guys, I think that is it. I thank you guys so much for watching. I'm looking forward to implementing the new phase. So goodbye emergency phase. Hello, pay off this debt phase. We are here. We are ready to go. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week and a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.